There are only 2 3DS games on Switch, one of which even has a 2 in its name, and another that could if you add a random W. The Nintendo 3DS has a gigantic library of amazing games, and you're telling me the Switch only got these 2 ported over? Come on, Nintendo. Now that you shut down the 3DS eShop and the physical prices of these games are increasing, it's time to bring some of them over to Switch. Or Switch 2 if that gets released soon. For this list, we're only counting the first-party Nintendo releases, so if you want Shin Megami Tensei 4 on Switch, go bug Atlas. We're also going to focus on games with stories or gameplay elements that we deem essential for players to experience, but simply can't if they don't have a 3DS. So let's get started with an obvious pick.
Sorry to keep you waiting!
It is truly a crime that we never got a remaster, let alone a successor to Kid Icarus Uprising. This game was a demonstration of the epic experiences the 3DS was capable of, with Pit flying through massive worlds filled with gigantic set pieces, a compelling narrative with twists and turns, accompanied by hilarious voice acting.
Get ready, because it's time for...
It's my turn to have the last word. Let's not argue about
This is definitely one of Nintendo's most intriguing games, combining the flight sections of Star Fox with unique ground-based missions for close-quarters combat against Medusa's forces. Although these sections are great, they were held back by the 3DS's handheld nature, with cramp-inducing touchscreen controls that required you to awkwardly cradle the system with one hand, unless you used the included stand to prevent ouchies. Yes, Kid Icarus Uprising is an impressive 3DS game, but an experience like this deserves to be played on a bigger screen with a better controller. Can you imagine what these glorious levels would look like in HD, or even 4K on the Switch successor? And with comfortable controls, it could serve as an epic showpiece for that new console. Even the game's director Masahiro Sakurai said it would be nice to play on a home console and wonders if someone out there will port it. Well, Bandai Namco was hiring for a 3D Nintendo licensed action game a couple of years back, so here's hoping the dream of Kid Icarus Uprising on Switch comes true. How is it possible that we haven't seen a new entry in the Nintendogs series since Nintendogs Cats in 2011? What gives, Nintendo? Did the general public not take kindly to the addition of felines? Well, if they did, they're wrong. In fact, I propose adding another pet to this equation: Nintendogs Cats and iguanas. I'm sure they'll all get along just fine. The Nintendogs games were simple. You just took care of a virtual dog or cat, playing with them, feeding them, giving them scratchies, and the 3DS game let you meet new pets via Street Pass so you could schedule puppy playdates with them. Oh man, if the Switch 2 has Street Pass, I would be totally down for this. Unfortunately, the closest thing we've gotten to a new Nintendogs game on Switch is Little Friends Dogs and Cats, and it just didn't have that Nintendo polish. There is great potential for a new Nintendogs game on Switch or Switch 2. The visuals could look absolutely gorgeous, HD Rumble could really make you feel like you're giving belly rubs, and a combination of motion and touch controls could make activities like fetch even more fun. Just look at the comments of the Nintendogs Cats trailer. People want this franchise to return, and some would say now is the perfect opportunity. Wow, this crowd is really rough. Okay, I'm shutting up now. If realistic pets aren't your forte, maybe kidnapping wild animals for some illegal cage matches is more your style. Or in this case, legal cage matches, run by 10-year-olds. We're talking about Pokemon, but which one of the 3 Nintendo 3DS entries is most deserving of a Switch port? Well, that's easy. Pokemon X and Y, as it was home to many firsts for the series, like being the first 3D mainline Pokemon game. Specifically 3D graphics, not just the 3D on the 3DS screen, you get the idea. It was also the first game to introduce new special battle mechanics, such as Mega Evolutions, and those things stuck around for quite a while. Not to mention we are already set to return to the Kalos region with Pokemon Legends ZA next year. So this is ripe time to give us the original games to go with them. We'd imagine Pokemon X and Y would be a more faithful remaster of the 3DS game, rather than a straight-up reimagining, with some upscaled visuals and a hopefully stable frame rate. After all, X and Y introduced many people to the world of Pokemon, so it deserves to have its legacy shared on the wildly popular Nintendo Switch. Man, did this really come out 10 years ago? What is time? Here's the thing. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is playable on Switch not just once, but twice over. thanks to the Super NES game library and the Game Boy Advance one. But we'd happily trade one of those to allow Switch owners to play the sequel, A Link Between Worlds. This game served as a throwback to the classic era of Zelda by reusing its predecessor's overworld maps and including the original character, enemy, and creature designs. But it also was an important step forward for the franchise, introducing a more open-ended style of gameplay that would help inspire Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, such as being able to tackle dungeons in any order. There were even some elements of boundary breaking, with Link being able to merge into flat surfaces to get past obstacles. It's easy to forget how impactful A Link Between Worlds is, which isn't helped by the fact that it's still stuck on the 3DS. Luckily, Switch owners will be getting something close to it in September, being Echoes of Wisdom, which reuses some of the map from A Link to the Past. So since parts of that map are already on Switch, it seems like half the work of bringing A Link Between Worlds is already finished. I'm partly joking, of course, seeing as I'm not a developer, but if Nintendo wants to bring this game to Switch with the art style from Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom, I would be more than okay with that. Let's face it, everybody loves the Miis. Otherwise, why would Nintendo bother bringing Miitopia, of all games, to the Switch? But truthfully, they should have remastered Tomodachi Life, the quirky cult classic that answered the question, what if Nintendo made their version of The Sims, but with Miis? So, Smees? This game was a unique life sim where Miis lived together on an island and could sing, play games, hang out, and talk to each other with disturbing text-to-speech voices.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rock? This is Tomodachi Life.
And not to keep harping on Miitopia, but that game did sell nearly 2 million units on Switch. And no doubt, a lot of those people who bought it are Tomodachi Life fans. So why not give those millions of people what they want and bring this unique life sim over to Switch? Plus, imagine the super in-depth Mii editor from Miitopia brought into Tomodachi Life. So many incredible and possibly disturbing creations could live on that island. Not to mention, Nintendo apologized 10 years ago for not including gay marriage in the game, so now that it's 2024, they could right that wrong and put it in a Switch re-release. Let's talk about Metroid. Not that one. Currently, the Switch is on track to become the best place to play the Metroid series, with every original mainline entry available to play, including the long-awaited 2D follow-up, Metroid Dread. That said, a crucial game in the franchise is still stuck on the Nintendo 3DS, that being Metroid Samus Returns. Now, I hear all of you in the comments typing away saying, it's a remake of Metroid 2 Return of Samus which is playable through NSO. Well, you're right, but consider this. The original game kinda sucks. There's no map and no way to know where you're going thanks to the monochrome visuals, and Samus takes up most of the screen. I get that it's great to have for nostalgic purposes, but newcomers who want to experience the entire series on Switch would almost certainly be much better off with the modernized remake, especially if they're coming off of Metroid 1's remake, Zero Mission. Samus Returns enhances Metroid 2 with beautiful, colorful visuals, much better controls with the inclusion of a melee counter, and there are some extra bosses like Diggernaut and that epic final battle with Ridley. It really is a modernized retelling of the story where Samus finds the baby Metroid that kicks off the events of Super Metroid. So to keep it trapped on 3DS would be unfair to the fanbase. That said, you can keep Federation Force. We don't need it. But we do need you to subscribe to GameXplain and hit that notification bell so we can keep making more Metroid content. In case you haven't met me, hi, I'm Joey, I'm a registered Metroid stan, please don't run away. Look, it's great that Kirby made his 3D debut on Switch, but that doesn't devalue his 2D ventures in the least. The two new ones that made their way to 3DS were Kirby Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot, and if we had to choose one to make its way over to modern consoles, it would be the latter. Kirby Planet Robobot is one of the more unique 2D entries in the franchise, with new abilities and mechanics. The world has a mechanized approach to it that affects Kirby in a far more interesting way than its usual power-ups, and it would be great to see these abilities realized in HD, or even with the art style from Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. There's a lot to love about Planet Robobot, but one of the main characters, Susie, has become a beloved character within the Kirby community. Maybe not on the same level as Magolor, but there's a lot more they could do with her character if they chose to explore it in a new side mode similar to what they did for Magolor in Return to Dreamland Deluxe. After Kirby and the Forgotten Land became the best-selling game in the series, there are way more Kirby fans out there now, and they deserve to experience Planet Robobot on the Switch or Switch 2. You know we can't end this list without bringing up Fire Emblem Awakening, widely considered to be the game that saved the Fire Emblem franchise from complete annihilation, bringing in a whole new audience to the series, so that aspect alone makes it deserving of a modern port. Heck, Robin, Lucina, and Chrom are all in Smash Bros, yet their game is over 10 years old and hasn't gotten a remake for Switch yet? Come on! Even still, there are lots of fan-favorite mechanics and design choices that still hold up well to this day. It has really good classic-style gameplay and difficulty, the weapon triangle fans love, and customizable units depending on the characters who get married. Despite these great qualities, it could still use some improvements with a Switch remake. Like, imagine the game with new and improved voice acting, and with as much as the series has now, which is a lot. It could even be better with improved visuals that don't give everyone those chibi peg legs. Oh wait, you all like those chibi peg legs? My mistake, I'm still traumatized by Federation Force. And there you have it. Those are 8 Nintendo 3DS games that we deem necessary to have Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 ports, remakes, or remasters. Are there any games you wish were on our list? Let us know in the comments below, and subscribe to GameXplain and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all things Nintendo. Until next time, bye-bye.